Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Chai After Dark. I am Sameem. I'm here with my co-host, Shabnam. Why are you smiling so hard, Shabnam? Are you? What are you looking at?
Because I was thinking how you just, your cadence was a little off.
Our intro is 2 sentences, and I already got caught up. I was like, oh, wait, I need to restart it.
That's cool.
But yes, This is Shabnam, my co-host. My name is Sameem. Hey, we are going to go back all the way to 2018. It seems like it's a long time ago, but I didn't know Succession was released in 2018, 7 years ago.
Yeah, and you can feel it's dated a little when you watch the first episode. So, obviously we're doing a rewatch, although for me, it's kind of a first-time watch. I only ever watched the first 2 episodes before. But I kind of feel like we're going back to the good old days, like 2018, pre-COVID, when, we still had hope. So it's kind of nice in a way. Nostalgic.
You mean when corruption was not so blatant, it was hiding behind TV shows and executives.
Thinly veiled,
yeah. Was it? I don't think it was thinly veiled, but I think today it's just too obvious. But you're right. It is a little dated, and it's strange that we thought that's how people wanted to live. I don't know what the appeal of Succession is, other than great character writing and great drama, but these people suck. It's like we keep doing this like with White Lotus, and now here we are again.
I mean, that's just like they're kind of my favorite kind of people, right? Like people that are entitled, insane, lack insight. I mean, who else are you going to talk about? It's pretty awesome.
If I would have said, are we ready to fuck? What would you have thought? Are we ready to fuck or what? That's what he starts the show
Who
with.
says that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you talking about that's
Kendall?
Kendall? Yeah.
He doesn't go by Ken, right?
I feel like one of his siblings call him Ken. So I was going to ask you, since I know you've watched more of the show, is it Kendall or Ken? But I hear them calling him Kendall too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So are you ready to fuck or what? In a business meeting?
I mean, I guess, when you're rich enough, business and pleasure all go together, I guess. I don't know.
For them, yeah.
Business is pleasure and pleasure is business.
Yes. You haven't seen the rest of the series. I've only seen season 1, so it does get a little raunchy. But
yeah,
I'm not going to give anything away. Like, you just need to watch it. So Shabnam's watching it episode by episode. So she actually doesn't know the full story, I guess, other than it gives away a lot in the first episode. You know what it's about.
Yeah. Other than America's favorite ultra-rich, ultra-toxic, ultra-awkward family with a media empire and more unresolved trauma than a therapist's dream journal.
But if you're that rich, you don't need a dream journal, and you certainly don't need a therapist.
Well,
I don't know
you
if
need a therapist, but you will never get one.
Yeah. Well, no, I think like white people would be into therapy if they were that rich, but it would be like a sounding off board, right, for them. It wouldn't be to like save
You'd
their
want
soul.
a yes person. Because I think like when you have a lot of money, right, it's not just white people. I think money allows you to ignore your problems because it allows you to like spend it and distract yourself. And people will do that. People will just distract themselves instead of having to like look at themselves in the mirror.
How many times are we going to talk about this? Like, you already know what I'm going to say. I'd rather be Connor, right? The oldest son. Like,
why?
I don't want to be
Tell me why.
There's not a laziness component to it. I think it's the same thing that we talked about in our previous episodes, the Bad Boy Billionaire episodes, where life is sort of finite. Sort of finite. Life is finite.
Yeah.
Where am I going with all this power and money? I'm going nowhere fast. And Logan Roy wakes up, he's 80 years old, and he's still pissed in the closet, right?
Yeah.
So
First scene, by the way.
And did it help him in life?
Well, it helped him in that if he pissed in the closet and he was poor, he'd have to clean it up himself or like beat his wife into cleaning up his piss all the time. But now he can just hire a cute lady, some kind of brown ethnic woman to clean his pee up, Hey.
What do you...
No, she was. I don't know what she was. I was going to say Filipino, but I wasn't sure. I don't know if she's Filipino, but she was brown, maybe Mexican. I don't know.
They made it a point to show her on her knees, right? And I think there's going to be a theme recurring all 4 seasons, people are going to clean up their mess, whether it's intentionally on the ground or whether it's a financial mess. So, and even so, once Shubnam starts describing the story, there's already a couple parts of episode 1 where they have to pay off that kid.
Yeah.
Kieran Culkins, who's my favorite character, by the way, already.
Yeah,
Roman.
he's cool. Yeah. I mean, he's cool because he's such a dick.
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
he's so I'm going to start, I'm going to get into, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, are you ready to? No, I'm just kidding. Let's get into it.
Are you ready to fuck? Okay. Well, on that note, I just want to say shout out to Little Miss Recap. I'm wearing the Little Miss Recap Pride t-shirt, and Pride Mubarak to all the South Asian LGBTQ people and non-South Asian LGBTQ people too. Okay. So the episode starts out with Logan Roy, like you said, peeing. Okay. We're done. We're done with that. Check.
Fucking and peeing.
And we learn. Yeah. Wait, he was fucking? I thought he was just peeing.
No, nobody was fucking.
Oh, just the Kendall was singing
Kendall
about
wanted
it,
to.
basically. Yeah, Kendall wanted to. So it's Logan's 80th birthday, and most people his age are trying to figure out how to use streaming services. He's basically the Rupert Murdoch of this fictitious world, running a media conglomerate while simultaneously crushing his children's souls. So we see his son Kendall first. He puts like way too much product in his hair. He looks like he's going to Jersey Shore, but he's like trying to be taken seriously at an acquisition meeting. It's way bizarre. So
he's like the opposite of what Lawrence is, but he's trying to be who Lawrence is, who you're about to describe. Like he's trying to be like a cool, young tech guy, and he's not. It's just there's other scenes that are going to come in season 1, and he's such a D-bag. It's hilarious.
Yeah. So he takes a cab to a meeting to acquire a company, and he's hyping himself up by singing along to a song on his headphones. And this is probably where he says it, right? He like a total tool. And there's a driver too. I'm like,
he's rich.
If you're gonna hype yourself, but if you're gonna hype yourself up like a moron, don't you want to at least do it privately? Like these people have no shame.
You should see what they do in front of their staff throughout 4 seasons. This is nothing. This is like the most innocent thing that he's doing. They're about to escalate this shit. The staff is there to protect them, right? So they can do anything they want.
Yeah. So he gets into a dick swinging contest with Lawrence, who is from the company that he's trying to acquire. And he loses because he sucks and he's a poser. And so after this meeting where Lawrence basically rejects his offer to buy the company, one of the guys goes to him, "Do you want to call your dad?" And he's like, "Do I want to call my dad? Do you want to call your dad? Do you want to call your dad?" He starts asking everyone if they want to call their dad. It's kind of funny. He's such a moron.
Sensitive as fuck, yeah.
Don't you feel like I feel like I totally know people that are like this, just they're less rich, so they don't have the ability to be quite as obnoxious.
Like they could call their dad and their problems would be fixed?
Like they're just assholes and they're super entitled.
Oh, yeah.
And they just don't, yeah.
Yeah, of course. These people, if he didn't have Logan Roy as his dad, who would this guy be? He'd be nothing. Like, I think it's pretty obvious. All 4 of these children are losers.
Well, then he would have to take feedback in his life, and he would either be unable to take it and, in some hole somewhere groveling with his own soul, or actually improve as a human being. So
no, come on, no way.
So, yeah. So then we meet Greg, the nephew of Logan Roy, who works at an amusement park, and he's the dog mascot. And then he barfs in his uniform. And then he calls his mom and he asks her to pick him up because he says he barfed in his uniform because a guy was smoking weed in his car and he got nauseous.
Yeah, that's what these rich people do. He's rich by association, right? The mom married into the rich family.
Yeah, but his immediate family is not actually really rich, right? He has to get it from his grandfather. So he's like only a little rich.
Logan Roy's great nephew. Yeah. And I don't think Logan
great
Roy
nephew or nephew?
Great nephew.
Because he said his grandfather is Logan Roy's dad, right? Because that's what he says later.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't actually know then. That's like his great nephew or nephew. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just his nephew.
Yeah. But that amusement park
But
is actually
yeah.
owned by the Roy Corporation. So
Oh,
so they're sort of like
okay.
Disneyland as well. Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so he's working kind of in the family business, but like a shitty job in the
Yeah.
family
Like
business.
on the very bottom.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so then after, Greg gets cleaned up, he goes to visit his uncle Logan for Uncle Logan's 80th birthday. And he almost gets tackled by security before Logan recognizes him that it's his nephew. So clearly they don't hang out that much. But he's got an agenda, which will come back later. But like first we see like we go into the party and like everybody's there. We see his daughter Siobhan. Siobhan doesn't do much in this episode really, but she's like the only daughter. It's like a bunch of boys and her.
Yeah. And her husband, her dumbass husband, Tom.
Yeah. And then again, Ken's there trying to pretend like he's like about to close this deal and he's some big important guy, but he hasn't yet. Then his ex-wife comes in with their kids. And does he have a desi kid?
She's Dizzy, right? His ex-wife.
He adopted a desi kid, right?
Yeah. Well,
She's desi?
Well, she's like Persian or something. So I don't know what she is.
Okay.
I don't think they ever refer to it.
Okay. But she's a little okay. I could see it.
Wait, why did you say adopted?
But that
I thought
kid,
those were his two kids.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. She just looks like slightly caramel. Like, I don't know. I just thought maybe she was Italian or something. I didn't like think of her as desi, but I guess that sort of makes sense. That kid's like really desi looking though, like really brown. So I don't know. But I guess if that's what they're going for, sure, I'll buy it.
I thought Kendall Roy himself was like a Desi or some sort of mixed, but I think he's just a white guy named Jeremy Strong.
Yeah, I think he's just a white guy. Okay, so his ex-wife basically, who's the mother of his kids, he goes, "Are you seeing someone?" He's like all insecure. She's like, "Yeah, I'm seeing someone else." And what does she say? And hopefully this one doesn't leave Coke smeared all over the kids' iPads.
I mean,
I was like, damn. And,
at least they're,
and he just looks like a deer caught in headlights. Well, then they can do the line off the iPad. So it's a learning experience for them, I guess.
That's disgusting.
Yeah, I know. So basically, he's a jacked up dad, right? Father of the year there. Mm-hmm. So Logan is redoing his trust, we learn, and he's going to stay as chairman and CEO for a few more years. So he announces to everybody and to Kendall, who's like chomping at the bit for his dad to like keel over and die or move over so he can take his dad's place and his dad's company. And he basically tells him, "I'm going to stay on for a few years." And he's like, he tells Kendall, "You'll be in my succession pending events." And Kendall's like, "Pending events?" And then all of a sudden, Saved by the Bell, Marsha Roy comes in and calls everyone for lunch into the fancy dining room. But before everybody goes in there, Kendall and Logan have a really uncomfortable conversation where Logan goes, "I heard you bent over and you fucked him," meaning you let him fuck you, I guess. He basically tells his son, sometimes it is a big dick competition. He's talking about the acquisition, which this is all really hilarious now that you talked about the song he was singing going into the meeting. Right? Like, yeah. It's like a full circle kind of thing. But
what was that song? It was a Beastie Boys song, I think. Yeah, what was it called?
I'm not sure.
An Open Letter to NYC.
Oh, interesting. So then Kendall, he's like basically asking his dad, "When do you think you're going to be ready to step down?" He's trying to get his dad to step down, but he's also trying to show his dad that like he is able to close this deal. And his dad's basically like, I don't know, 5 years, maybe 10 years. And he's like, "It's my fucking company." Yeah, 10 years is forever.
He's 80 years old.
And then yeah, that's true. And then Kendall says, "And you're running the company into the ground." And he starts like losing his shit and clenching his fist because he feels like his dad doesn't respect him. And then his dad goes, "Do you want to hit me? Go on, give it your best shot. Are you gonna fucking cry? Are you crying?" And I was like, damn.
Got him.
he's like doing some massive psychological warfare on his kid. And then everyone comes in for lunch and Kendall goes to the bathroom and yells into a towel and bangs the hairdryer against the wall and breaks all the Q-tips. I have to say, people with anger issues really annoy the shit out of me.
His anger issue is coming from a drug-fueled previous few years. So I think it comes like it's a huge side story that he was a drug addict, but people with anger issues, I don't know. I wouldn't say they like annoy me, but something like that's a little over the top.
I find it pathetic. Like, I find it pathetic.
Do you mean the actual tantrum, or because anger is a normal part of human beings, right?
Yeah. I suppose the actual tantrum, right? Like, you can tell that he can't manage his feelings. That's why he's getting so like out of control. You know?
Unless the dad,
I don't know. Is it pathetic or am I judging?
I don't know. I think anger is sort of a scale similar to sexuality, but like I don't know. Like, I've gotten angry at the most like random times, which is so annoying. Because then I don't actually get angry when I'm probably supposed to be angry. And then I probably get
because you're holding it in, probably.
Yeah, because you're holding it in because we're taught to hold everything in. So when it does come out, it just gets a little ragey. I'm not talking about anything specific with me, but I don't know. Overall, I don't have a lot to be angry about nowadays, but I do agree with you. I think the people that are like I used to have more road rage than I do now. I used to have a lot of road rage, and now I have like next to nothing. But being trapped like in an environment that could fuel your anger, I think people need to remove themselves from that, and that's like the issue. Because I don't think you're ever going to be able to make your anger go away.
Yeah, I could see that.
But you don't have anger, and I also think you don't know what I'm referring to.
You're right. I don't have anger. I have the opposite problem. Like, I become depressive. I don't become angry. So that's why it's easy for me to judge it, and probably not right for me to judge it. But I feel like actually he probably dealt with it in a good way. He like dealt with it privately on his own and just like broke some Q-tips and like fucked up a bathroom a little bit instead of like actually
going off on someone, potentially
going off on someone or something.
Property damage.
You
can't be doing that. That's a huge deal in this country. The biggest issue that some people seem to think. But Q-tips and jars of soap, I think, is okay. I would say if you're going to be that angry and your dad is pushing your buttons, because Logan Roy knows exactly what he's doing, then that dude Kendall didn't have a lot of opportunity to just go back into the party and be like, okay, I'm fine. I lost the company for at least 5 years. I think he did what he had to do.
Yeah, you're right. I take it back. Oh,
now you don't think angry people are pathetic?
Yeah. Well, I think your actions. I judge people's actions when they're angry, but I think I found it pathetic watching his reaction. But if I actually think it through, what he did was private. It's just obviously you could see it because it's a show, right? And so if he did that in front of like kids or something, I would be like, you're an asshole because the kids are going to freak out, right? But if he did that in the bathroom himself, like it's kind of
What would be scarier though? If he was like, I'm going to get this fool back. He goes into the bathroom and he's completely silent and he starts thinking of ways to get revenge, get his redemption. He starts making a hit list. He starts like writing out where his dad is every day, and then he like starts jump scaring him or some shit to kill him. Like that would be maniacal, right? That would be a lot different than an over exorbitant sort of anger episode.
I mean, he could also decide that he wants to have his own job and like not take the easy path out of the family business and, make millions that you didn't actually earn, but that's actually harder, right?
Like our boy Connor, their older brother, he doesn't do shit though in this episode. He's just a lazy sack of shit, right? So, but he's like okay with it. I don't know. I agree with you, and I think this first episode's meant to think like Is he just being a spoiled little brat? We talk about little boys like throwing tantrums, right? Sometimes it's really annoying. Like that's literally what it's supposed to symbolize. I think that's what it was supposed to be. I get my way. I was a drug addict. I pick girlfriends. I do coke off my kid's iPad. He's not supposed to be like a great character 15 minutes in.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, okay, if I was to make up a hypothetical backstory, because I don't know the real backstory yet, I could see a world in which you have a dad like that who, just based off of that one interaction, is psychologically fucking with you to the max. And then you obviously, if you're like growing up with that as a teenager, you might develop a drug problem. And then I could see these events transpiring, but like you said, then take yourself out of that environment. Don't make yourself so dependent every aspect of your life on this person. That's really difficult, right? Like you could try to have another job, but I guess like, I don't know, some people just can't do that because it's harder. It's harder, right? To work your way up in another business rather than going, the easy route through, your family, but then you have to deal with toxic shit sometimes.
This guy's been promised Fox News. He's not going to change until he gets it. Actually, it's called Waystar.
He could have gone the CNN route. Waystar. Yeah, I mean, he could have gone, try to work at CNN. So,
I think
anyway,
in this episode, doesn't it say that Shiv is a political consultant for the other side?
Yeah. So and she thinks this is like,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah. See, that's what I mean. Yeah. She's a girl. She's smart.
She's not very smart. You'll see in the next few episodes.
Okay.
Daddy's about to fuck with her too.
All right. Okay. So then we see the softball game. So they all go to play softball, like a family softball game, and they get to the softball game by riding in their helicopters. And actually, I've seen another reality show where people are like, oh my God, we were going to take the helicopter from our apartment helipad, from our like luxury apartment helipad, like the ceiling of their building to, the John F. Kennedy Airport to go somewhere. But now there's rain, and so we're going to have to actually sit in traffic with the actual peons. Oh my God, we're going to be late. We might miss our flight. And it's like, oh God, cry me a river.
This is so, what's like a big East Coast? This is so Kennedy-esque, like a Kennedy compound.
Yeah.
I guess that's what they're supposed to be. It's supposed to be representing extreme wealth, but I don't know, man. It's so weird to have like your own softball game and your own field that you take a helicopter to.
You take your own helicopter to?
But they have those helicopters now. They have Uber Blade out of Manhattan.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Like you can go from Manhattan to JFK in 14 minutes in a Uber helicopter. I think it's like $200 each way, which doesn't seem that bad to skip an hour and a half. But that's not what they're doing. This is their helicopter and their compound. They're not renting shit.
Interesting. So we meet Roman, and Roman's another son. He's played by Kieran Culkin. And like you said, he was your favorite. I think he's my favorite too. He's my favorite because he's such a quintessential kind of asshole.
Oh, yeah.
And you see it see it right away in the softball game because he notices that they're a player short. And so he calls in this teenage boy from the sidelines who I think the teenage boy is one of their hired help's kid, right? And he tells the kid, I'll give you $1 million if you hit a home run. And, Siobhan's like, don't be an asshole or whatever. And he's like, no, I swear, I'll give you $1 million if you make a home run. So the kid like barely misses the home run and he rips up the check in front of him and gives him like a quarter of it. And he's like, here you go. Close, almost, but here's $250,000. And he gives him like a fourth of a check. He's such an asshole. It's crazy.
I don't know, man. Like, that's what you come up with if you have so much extreme wealth and privilege. Anybody else could have been like, play with us. Hey, what's your name? No, these kids have to fuck with the minions, especially like the staff's kid, like you said. But then their fixer shows up, right? So they're following them around to fix, make sure that it doesn't get out to the public that Roman's a complete fucktard. Am I allowed to say that?
It's almost like, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. It's almost like they don't see the people who work for them as like
people,
actual people. Like they're invisible almost to the Logans. The Roys.
It is well be the Logans.
Yeah, seriously. So basically that kid's family is told, like you said, by one of the cleaner uppers, he's told to sign an NDA, and they're basically given an expensive watch that I think Connor Roy gave to Logan for his birthday, right? And they're just like basically like whatever. They just give that watch. They just give that watch as like a settlement, to the family. It's kind of crazy. And I don't know. It's like I don't know that like watches that much. Like it could be like $100,000, could be $10,000.
I think it's Tom's watch from Shiv's husband, because during remember when they introduced Tom, he says what does he say? He says something so ridiculous. It needs to say that I respect you, but I'm not awed by you, and that I like you, but I need you to like me before I can love you. And then Shiv says, everything you get him will mean an equal amount of nothing. So make sure it's 10 or 15 grand worth and you'll be fine. And then Tom gets him a fucking watch. So I don't know if it's that watch. I didn't actually see that. But so he gets Logan Roy a $15,000 watch, and Logan Roy was like, what am I going to do with this?
Yeah. So, hey, that kid gets $15,000 for going 3 bases.
And getting shit on and being told he's second class. So... lifetime of memories. Yeah.
So the game kind of ends, and Kendall has to leave really early because of this acquisition deal. So he F's off to do that. And then the rest of the family gets back in the helicopter and starts riding away. And Logan has Shiv and Roman go in the helicopter with him. And the kids basically kind of get into it with their dad about the company. And he gets into it and he starts like saying gibberish basically. And then he passes out. And they basically tell the pilot, like, let's head to the hospital. He needs to go to the hospital. And then we see Ken. Ken goes back with an even higher number to Lawrence. And it seems to be working. The deal closes. And then Lawrence comes to Ken and he's like, hey, did you hear the news? And Ken's like, what is it? And then Lawrence is basically like, oh, congratulations. The deal's done. And then he goes, but the news I'm talking about is that your dad is having a brain hemorrhage. And he says, you just invited me to the coop and I'm going to eat all of you one by fucking one.
Lawrence. And that's a lot of like, holy shit, saying that to like a Fox News conglomerate family, even if you have the upper hand, that's some amazing balls by Lawrence over here.
Yeah. Because he can people can sense, right? Like, I think you can kind of sense that Kendall is kind of a wuss. He can be pushed around. That's why he's doing that to Kendall. I mean, he's obviously not going to do that to Logan, right? So people can always tell who like an alpha, who like a confident person is, and who is like the one who can be pushed around.
All that power, and he can't make any decisions without his dad. That's essentially what it is. So his dad sends him there to make that digital media deal because Kendall couldn't do it on his own. But then he wants to take the company into this new hip direction, but they don't know anything. It's like a boomer company, so they need Lawrence. Yeah. But I think we talk about this a lot, and we kind of kept our opinions, I guess, to ourselves. I don't think anybody is surprised what we would think, but I don't know how many times we're going to say it. When you're in a meeting like that, you can cut down anyone you want because you can sense it as long as you have some sort of power, I guess. But with Kendall, I don't think me and you could do it. That's not who we're talking about. Like if we were in a meeting with him, I don't think we would have enough cachet to say anything like that. But if it's like a peer or if it's like a VP or a director that's not really like all that powerful, it's just a title, then all these people are bullshit and they don't know anything that their bosses don't tell them.
So I think there's different kinds of negotiating power. And I was actually telling Sophie about this when I was in San Diego. Like, I'm not a bulldog kind of personality, but I am still a good lawyer because I figured out over the course of my career the things to say to people to make them want to do the things they need to do. And so it's kind of like...
That sounds really manipulative. Like, and you figured out some sort of hypnosis track.
No, it's like if you have to comply with certain laws, but you don't really feel like it. Well, I can explain to you how it's going to be really bad for you and all the bad things that are going to happen if you don't do it. And then you will want to do it because you'll realize it's more costly to not do those things. Right. So just like different things like that, explaining like, you know, risk to people and explaining consequences to people and giving them examples of things that could go wrong and things that have gone wrong. And that's part of being a lawyer, right? It's part of being a business person, right? So there's different kinds of power is what I'm saying. There's soft power, there's hard power, there's just aggressive power, right? And as a business person or lawyer or whatever you are, salesperson, you kind of have to figure out what kind of power you have, right? And the problem with Kendall is he doesn't know because he's never had a freaking real job.
Yeah.
He's always just worked in his family. So he's not been mentored. He's trying to be like his dad, and his dad is an aggressive power person. And I don't think he's got that same level of alpha characteristics, right?
Yeah.
Maybe because he hasn't developed it. Like maybe you could develop that, but he doesn't have the confidence to know like how to get where he needs to get to and how to accomplish what he needs to accomplish because he's not come from the ground up. He's just going in at this high level. Whereas Lawrence has probably gone through a whole bunch of crap, and Lauren now knows like how to get what he needs to get done, you know?
So you threaten people with the law. Shubnam, attorney at law, been threatening people with the law since your career began. That's actually a good point. You can just be like, look, I know the law and I'll fuck you up utilizing it. I'll hit you with some.
I didn't say that.
Habeas corpus. Sorry, Brit. Like,
I'm just saying, like, sometimes people think
it's not a threat, but it's somewhat like powerful for you to say that because some people don't know the law, right?
Right, but I'm saying like some people think they want something, but they don't realize all the things that might happen if
That's
they
literally a threat.
have
You
it.
sound like a low-key mob boss. Look, you might think you want something, but you don't know what's going to happen if you get something. What are you talking about? You're literally saying you sound scarier than a mob boss.
That's literally what people go to lawyers for. Like, okay, I want to do this.
It feels like you're reading a definition of threat.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Some people don't realize once I get into the picture, I will change their mind. And I will change it with the law. I don't know what that accent that is. That's in big.
I'm just a nice person.
You're not Kendall Roy.
No, I'm not. I mean, okay, I'm smarter than. Who's not smarter than Kendall Roy? The biggest problem people have is that they don't know what they can and can't do. That's the stupidest person ever. You just need to know what you can do and know what you can't do, and don't try to do things you can't do because then you're stupid.
I mean, that's what shortcoming. There's an effect. What's it called? Kerning-Dunner effect. Now I sound dumb, but there's a personality trait where you're not aware of your shortcomings, like you said, and you're not aware of what you don't know. So putting yourself in a situation where everyone knows more than you have to have some creative energy or luster or appeal, or like Donald Trump, you have to be just a buffoon and nobody will. Like, literally nothing can stick to that guy, right? So, because we're the biggest clown on earth. I'm not saying clown, like on Instagram, if you're on the Instagram comments and somebody writes clown. I mean clown as in, like, if there was a clown performing in front of you, there's nothing you could do to that guy that's going to embarrass him more. That's, what can we say at this point? So that's like all-encompassing power. So a full clown, top to bottom, if you can convert into that, that's ultimate power. And I think Kendall is actually quite close. But he's not a full clown yet because, like you said, he doesn't have enough experience. No. It's not.
When you say clown, I think megalomaniac. That's what I think.
I think that's a component of it, obviously, because you have to be what? Like, oh, I know everything. Nobody can know more than me. But how? There's no research out there. There's no books out there that you have access to that we don't. So when people say they know more than you, it's like, okay, well, where did you learn more? Show me the book. I'll read it too. And now we know the same. And now we can have a normal conversation. But I know that's not how life works, right? We'd rather yell at each other on Instagram comments.
You know what's funny about Kendall so far from this episode is that I think rich people do disservice to their children to put them in positions they have no business being in, because even that person, even Kendall, knows that he shouldn't be in that role. So he acts like it, and he gets eaten alive kind of by the people around him. And he's the one suffering more than anyone else. So it's like, you should find a way to make your kid work hard. I think that's better than
This show's not very
making them
clear
feel
on
entitled.
if Logan Roy forced them into the family business or they worked their way up into the family business.
Yeah.
I don't know, because their other kid, Connor, didn't want anything. So I think you're right. I've met some pretty wealthy families with kids with pretty amazing work ethics, including like they worked at retail or they worked at an ice cream shop while they were younger. But I also know, like, one of the wealthiest guys I know, and I don't mean wealthy like a billion, I just mean in terms of his lifestyle. He's just this dude that I met on the streets of San Jose. No joke. When I used to live in downtown San Jose in a high rise, he would just go to like a bar every day. And he did have a job. He probably made 10 or 15 bucks an hour or something like that. But I was like, dude, how can you live like this? You're in your late 40s. So he's probably in his late 50s, early 60s now. I don't know if he's alive. Sometimes I think about him. And he was like, yeah, but my mom married this rich guy and they live in Los Gatos. Los Gatos is a very, very rich town outside of San Jose. And he's like, all that's coming to me. So I was like, okay, do your thing, boy. That's a different kind of Kendall.
Yes.
That's a different kind of privilege.
Yeah.
Because if he didn't have that coming to him, he would probably end up in prison or jail or homeless. He was living like a homeless guy. Like he had an apartment.
But what's scary about that is, what if that guy has like a secret prenup with that guy's mom, or he changes his will at the last minute or something, you know? And like the rug gets pulled out from under you. Like, I don't know. You got to have some kind of
a little like, I don't really care if he got cut off. Like, he's not that young, he's not that old, but then he would just be one of the 80 to 90 million people that live like that and then have to retire like that. Like, it's not like he would be alone in this country. And we haven't even talked about the wealth gap and the disparity of how these people live in succession versus how someone like that lives. And I think that's going to come up as we continue to rewatch this. But I didn't want to go like full crazy on this episode. I think it was going to piss me off because these people aren't meant to be liked. I think we've been doing a lot of stuff that's been, I don't know, very adjacent to today's world. But I think this is nice because it makes me feel better about myself. I would never be like this, and give me a few $1 billion and maybe I will be. But I don't know. At most, I think I'd buy an NBA team. I don't think I would buy World Star and an app, or like Mountain Head. I wouldn't create some calming app.
Well, I mean, that goes back to what we've talked about before. It's like, what do you want? Some people get addicted to making money, or like addicted to closing deals, or addicted to seeing like a number in their bank account like move up and down. Like, they get addicted to that, right? Whereas other people are just looking for satisfaction. You love basketball, so you're like, I'd buy a basketball team and I'd sit front row every game, and that would bring me joy and I would be satisfied, right? But I think humans, it's tough to be satisfied. That's why we like to be on antidepressants and anti-anxiety medication and fight with people and, you know,
happy
hate our
Tuesday morning to
parents
everybody.
and-
Shoved them bringing in the
Shoved
them here to perk you up.
Yeah.
I don't think everything
just,
sucks. Obviously, I do think we live in a very weird society that's insular, but we act like we're so social, and I don't think that's just I just don't think that's how it is. We seek people that validate our opinions and how we want to live, and that's why Kendall and these guys only know Waystar. They don't know anything else. You have to completely dissociate yourself from that life. Like, we already know what we grew up in. We talk about it all the time. You know how hard it is to remove yourself from something like this. And it probably does take antidepressants and all kinds of shit for people to find true peace and happiness, but it probably doesn't exist, right? It just probably doesn't exist. And that's why I think Kendall needs his dad's validation so bad, which everyone does. You always want your dad's validation as a generic term, but he seems to want a lot more. Otherwise, his life is just not complete.
Yeah. He's definitely got some old wounds from his dad, and his dad's like actually being more mean to him rather than like validating him, which is making him go even more crazy, which is why it's like, maybe don't work for your dad. But, you know, I don't know. His dad's rich, so It is what
I
it
would
is.
like to take this time to announce After Dark's newest employee, my daughter. Just kidding. Nepotism run wild.
Yay. She's good. Yeah. Yeah. So she should work for her dad, you know?
Yeah. I'm all mean to her and shit. I was like, Sophie, I told you this would be yours. But what does he say? Logan Roy, he's like, you going to cry?
You want to hit me?
Sophie?
You want to
hit
cry? Yeah.
Me? She would probably hit me if I said that to her. Cool. Well, everybody, thank you so much for listening to episode 1 of Succession. We're doing a whole rewatch, right? And we're going to go episode
Hell
by
yeah.
episode. So it's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
Quick programming note. These episodes are going to be released on Tuesdays all summer. So we should be done with season 1 by the end of summer. And on Thursdays, it's going to be the variety hour. And we don't know what that means. It's going to be something different every Thursday. So
yeah. We don't know what's going to happen.
We don't know
so
what's
stay
coming in 2
tuned to
days.
find out.
I did go to the Pacers game in Indianapolis. That'd be fun to talk about. And I did go to Chicago.
Yeah, we should talk about it.
And I did almost get arrested. So we could talk about that.
Should we talk about it? All right, let's
Stay
talk
tuned
about it.
for Thursday.
Yeah.
So Sameem's and Sophie's travels into the Midwest, it was quite fun. We drove all through Indiana to get to Chicago. We were the only brown people there.
Wow.
We'll talk about it.
That's exciting, both exciting and scary. In the meantime, you can find us at Jai After Dark everywhere on all socials, especially TikTok and Instagram, where we're most active. And you can find us on all podcast platforms. Give us 5 stars everywhere, Apple, Spotify, wherever you listen to us. And leave us a little review on Apple. We'd love to hear it.
Yes, we would. We'd love to hear those reviews. Hey, let's get out of here. I got to go to the Padres game, actually. I'm not joking.
All right. Let's go.
Softball charity.